Alright, so we are going to be looking at trying to finish off what we started. We're finishing at the end of the last stream, which was we started trying to make a very simple Roomba, which is basically a automated vacuum that goes around and tries not to bump into things and to vacuum things up. It's not actually going to work like one, but generally something that moves around and uses these traces to detect where it is and make sure that it doesn't bump into things, or that it can target specific things as well. So yeah, that's what we're going to attempt to do. Let me things quickly. Okay, so how do these work generally? I'm pretty sure they just... I want to see a video, not a... Oh, look at this! How fancy is that? Oh well, we're not gonna go that fancy. I just want to see something move around. YouTube or something going around and showing me how it works. So like the front of it is going to be where its sensors are, I'd imagine, right? That big kind of bar thing there. It might have some on the back by the looks of it as well. Wonderful. I don't care how it picks stuff up, especially. Although I do quite like how it brushes stuff in like that. Very fancy. Light touch bumper technology. Oh, so it knows that it can go through it. That it can actually push through it. That's quite clever. Rather than just detecting simply, yeah. I guess it'll do, if it can detect something, it'll probably, when it interacts with it, it'll work out how much force it's getting and stop immediately if there's a lot of force. Okay, so that's generally what we're going for. At the moment, all we've got is a circle that has the ability to trace. It doesn't move, it doesn't do anything along those lines. We'll try and make it move around and to do traces every so often and turn based on that. That's what I'm looking to achieve. Let's see how it is when it opens up. All right, so this is where we were, and yeah, if we press play, we should be able to see. Yeah, we got these little traces coming out there, right? So we're gonna have to kind of do a thing where we want it to move forward. We'll do some rules basically that control whether or not it moves forward. So we can do this via the code, I guess. Do we need a movement component here to move it? I don't know. Do we? I can't remember what benefits we get from this. I'm not going to mimic it too deeply. It'd just be more of a case of I want it to go around and not bump into things. And then maybe we can put down some items that it will try and pick up as well. Or like collect, if you will. So we can make but not a Roomba. You can do some like traces in an area, which a normal thing wouldn't be able to do, I guess. It is. Where's it gone? Now we haven't made this a pawn in any type at the moment, have we? No, we've just made it. What's going on with my browser? Sorry, I'm trying to skip through and it doesn't. I hate when technology doesn't work. It stresses me massively. Okay, never mind. We won't look at that. Okay, let's just do what I want to do instead. Okay, so let's write down what our behavior should be. So desired behavior would be that it will attempt to explore. So what does explore mean? Let's break it down to simple steps. Like, so it'll move forward. If something is in front of it, it will check left and right sensors, I guess. I don't know. Would you do it like that? If one of them doesn't hit, then we turn that direction. And then, like, if all hit, turn, stop moving, and turn. What have you got there, Fyra? Have you sent me an iRobot clip? Is that what you're expecting it to be able to do? Thank you! I appreciate the subscription, X-Wing. XXXXXXX. Very much appreciate it. How is your wonderful self today? I hope you're doing well. I've been a bit bored today. Yeah, I've just been. To be honest, I've not done much. I went out for a walk for a while. I went to some stores, got some groceries, and played some Apex on my own for a while. Had a bath, watched some streams. You know, nothing really exciting. I'm trying to constantly battle with the feeling of not feeling bad for not doing work, which I really struggle with, actually. I feel like, because even though I know it's time off of work I've got now, I know that I don't carry on with other projects normally because I don't feel like I'm so bogged down with normal work. So now that I'm not in normal work, I feel I should be working on those other projects. It's just I find it very hard to come to terms, a nice balance, you know. 2.5-minute clip for Dan's theoretical result. I don't think we're going. No, it's gonna be simple. You know this. Will Smith will not be near it. Hey Nat, hello. How you doing, lovely? Nice to see you. Start moving and turn left or right randomly. Once one of them doesn't hit, then fall back to normal logic, I guess. Okay, so let's start really simple. So in our tick, we are basically doing, this is how we're getting our traces, right? So now we need to think about doing some logic in here. So if maybe I should comment this, do it as pseudocode first. Let's make the code a bit bigger as well for people, shall we? Nice and big. There we go. Okay, so the kind of thing we want to do then is, what's the name of it? Front trace results. So if, let's just say, first off, let's have move forward. If, oh no, it's going to be if. So we want to check if the front trace result isn't a hit, go forward. Else, check left and right to see if either are a hit. Hey Benjo, how you doing? Nice to see you. What have you done whilst bored, Wing? If one isn't a hit, turn that direction whilst going forward. I don't know whether like I guess we should probably stop. But it'll look nicer if you're moving whilst, yeah. Hey Dan, digging through the official vids for UE4 Match 3 sample project. The tutorial could be a bit honest, yeah. Tutorials, depending which ones you look at and when it was made and all of that jazz, they're not always the best. Room Bob. Yeah, I completely relate to that feeling, Bob, of wanting to start from scratch. Really do. Like when I started Unreal, it always felt like I was building on a system that I didn't understand. Do remember, people, as well, if you're interested in games and learning, you could use the game jam as an excuse to learn more about Unreal, Brewing Pop, and make an Unreal game, and that could be your jam entry. And anyone else who's interested as well. Okay, so if we go forward, I'll fire out. First off, thank you for the support. That's very much appreciated. Secondly, I think you're underestimating or overestimating what this is going to be able to do. All right, let's start with this then. So first off, let's just go. So if our frontline trace, what's it called? Front trace result. If front trace result dot is blocking hit. Hang on. So these are what you call them, right? Hit results. I can't remember. Why doesn't my Alt G work on these? Why don't I make time? The problem is me now. I need to make time to work out why my editor doesn't work. It's so frustrating when you can't just jump into code files like that. Like, because that isn't doing it. When I look at this, isn't there like a blocking hit? I thought it was. Is blocking, is that it? Oh, my editor doesn't work. It's so annoying. Go here and look at some of the examples I've done before. Blocking hit. So if it's not a blocking hit, then we're just going to go forward. So how are we going to make it go forward? I guess we would. Why? This is never too straightforward as well. Do we just update its position by a movement speed times delta time? I think we would. So I guess we would do get forward. I don't know if we can do a forward vector. What has the forward vector to know the facing direction? It's like I know these things exist, but I always struggle to find like where do I call it? I thought it was on an actor. Is the forward vector in here? Yeah, actor forward vector. Why doesn't it auto-complete it? Oh, it's so frustrating. Very, very frustrating. It's like so hard for me to have any confidence in my coding when every time I type, it's like, no, that doesn't exist. And then you question yourself. Such a pain in the backside. Gonna try and get into your champions. Can I get a chance to get into you with the holidays? Good. Good. Dude, don't feel any pressure to, even if you just do something tiny, and that's not a problem. Get your nav mesh component and move to. Yeah, I don't want to do it via the AI though, like the move to. Because like, where do I move to? I'd need to choose a point. No, I just want it to move forward. It'd be like, but essentially rotate your wheels, right? So it just really irks me that it acts like this isn't a thing, even though this isn't actor. Even though we've just found that actor has something called get actor forward vector. This exists. It's really flipping it. And then I guess we want to. Yeah, I have a bit more of a C# background from my time with Unity, to be honest. It's no problem, dude. I appreciate the message. I don't know whether I just need to try and take some time to try and fix my thing, because like I'm getting worked up already, just not being able how to move a flipping actor. The actor forward vector is another. So this is just setting the new location is the actor location times current velocity. Yeah, I'm not really. Where's the bit where it says how to? But that's it. You're assuming I have a target position. The same with the nav mesh thing, Fire, where I don't have a target position here. It's literally I just want to move in the way that I'm facing, right? Welcome, Mike. Thank you very much for the raid. How you doing, good sir? I haven't seen you for a while. And the thing is, I don't think you'd need to do a lerp, because if you do it. A lerp is typically like an overtime thing, right? You need to skedaddle to have some lunch. No problem, Mike. I appreciate the raid regardless. I hope you're doing well. Yes, so Fire, that I agree with. With the lerping is normally something you do over time, right? And this is going to be per tick anyway, so I think just using that. Yeah, so getting the forward locate vector is basically going to be getting you the direction that you move in, right? So what does get actor location return as just an F? All right. I'm breaking it down to more steps than needed, right? Just to make it more clear. So, set actor location, and then we want to get our current position plus forward vector times speed times delta time, effectively, something along those lines. So now we need to expose out a movement speed thing as well. Long time no see. News is we're expecting a 5th child. We're about to move to Portugal. I now work as a contractor and make real money. No more real indie for you. Oh, that's a lot of news. What sort of contracting work are you doing if you're still there? But if you have to go, just catch up another time, dude. No problems. So these are. Did we give these categories? Didn't, did we? Because if we're going to add more, it probably makes sense for us to start doing this. All right, but this is going to be our tracing. Ah, we did do it for these. Maybe these would actually be the setup. And then we'll do one for movement in here. Oops. What? Okay. So this would be for movement. Okay, so we want a float, which is going to be a move speed. And we'll probably have a rotation speed as well. Something along those lines. Indie game contracting, that's cool. Choice provisions right now. Guy who did bit trip. I have other clients around the things are looking up. Anyway, after nominal. Okay, that sounds good to me, Mike. I don't know those things you listed, but I assume that's my ignorance rather than anything else. Enjoy your food. Take it easy. Thank you, Master Agent, as well for coming along on the raid. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and we'll chuck in the move speed in here then. So as from a very simple point of view, it should actually move now, right? And it should stop moving when it collides with something. It depends on the collision profile of the things around it, right? But the next things we're going to do is, if not, we will actually have it as well. Would we do it as an if? Because if we want to check left and right, then we need to know more about them in here. It's like we can get it twice. I guess I know we can get it twice. It's not a problem. We're not going for efficiency here, right? So if either of these that compile, I think it did, right? Does it move now? Oh, the speed might be 0. Let's see if that makes a difference. No. This isn't a blocking hit. Is this hitting? No. I guess I've added some code in since here, right? Try again. At the moment, it is a box collision. Yes, you are right about that. Why is this not? Is it ticking? What is going on? All I've done is pressed F10. So flipping vexed at this stuff. Is it hitting then? Is that what's happening here? It has hit. What has it hit then? Is it hitting itself? It's hitting itself. So we can make it ignore self. That's something you can do. How do we do that? There's something when you set up the params. Like, I don't want to have to move it out. Positioning of it. So basically, it's that line is. I mean, a quick test for this would be to go in and move the position of the things just to test it's not hitting itself, right? We go in and we look at the front tracer position. And we just move that forward one like that. Did that now move? Yeah, there you go, it's moving. But we should look into how to make it ignore itself. I don't know if these are set to collide. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so it's stopped now. Magical. How exciting. Hey, Halsey, how you doing? How are you? Okay, so let's do two things. First off, let's work out how to make it sure it doesn't collide with self. There's something you can do on the collision query params, maybe. I might Google it because I'm not too sure. Make trace ignore actor. Don't you pass in an array of actors to ignore when you do a trace, if I remember? Yeah, actors to ignore. Do we have that as a parameter? Let's have a look in CPP, maybe. Custom collision, weapon trace, BP for your tracer bullet, and customize the collision on the mesh. Select to ignore weapon trace. This is all done in the editor itself. Well, this was ages ago, but add ignore actor. See, I thought there was this. Collision params object. Collision query params. Collision object query params. Is that the same thing? F collision query params. Maybe these can have it too. Let's. I think we should add. No, it doesn't seem to have an ignored objects there. Yeah, Cat and Pig is a game we're working on. You can hopefully get an idea from looking at a couple of those links. Yeah, it's a game that we're working on after Ludum Dare. Yeah, I've tried that, but I think I don't know if this actually has that function in there. Unfortunately, my shortcuts are not letting me jump to the definition of this. Collision query params. F collision query params. I think that is what I'm using, right? Collision, no, object. So there's one without. I don't know the difference between an F collision object and an. I don't know the difference between them. What's it? There's a list of objects that the queries. Oh, is it because I'm doing it by object instead of channel? This is good stuff to be looking into anyway. Yeah, Spacey 3D did. She's. I think she's not in chat today, but yeah, she did the illustrations for it. It's really lovely. And Brainode's helped bring it to life, working in Unreal Engine. to work on the animations and stuff on the cards with me as a developer as well. Yeah. Collision object query. I don't understand the difference between them, if I'm honest with you. Should I be using a different trace? F collision object query params versus F collision query params. Well, not the same question as me, but so in our actual code, then we're doing line trace by object type. So I'm guessing that's what the difference is, right? But then if we're doing it by object type, it doesn't allow you to add ignored actors to it, is what I'm figuring. So if we did a let me get rid of this line for now. Flip side down, come on, mate. I'm really struggling to not get agitated today. So if we do a line trace by channel, so this will take in a collision query params, whereas if we did a single by object type, this takes in a collision. No, actually that one says oh, okay, hold on. We can pass in a collision query params as an extra parameter. It's the default ones. Hold on. So there's a second argument we give in there, which I wasn't aware of. Is that true here as well? No. Okay, so I should be able to make a F collision query params. Let's rename this one to object query params. We'll just call this a query params. And then what's the default one? The default, well, it can default to, we saw here, right? F collision query, default query param. Like that, I think, right? And then we could, oh, sorry, putting it in a completely wrong place. If I put it there. And then we should be able to do add ignored actor, this, like that. And then we should be able to add this in as the extra parameter here, which is previously being defaulted. Let's try that. Yeah, let's give that a go and see what happens, shall we? I think UE4 might melt my PC and Visual Studio for Mac doesn't support C++. Oh no. Yeah, I have no idea how well it supports that sort of game dev. Sorry, that wasn't a sentence I wanted to say. I don't know how well it works on Mac on that sort of operating system, dude. I've never tried it myself. About a year ago since the last UE4 source due to work keeping me busy, but I'll open it up after eating the burger I got looking at me. Oh, hang on. The burger sounds nice though. All right, I think it worked. So the difference. What? Right. This still should move forward, right? But if we go back into Roomba now, and we move our front sensor back into it where it was colliding with it before. Uh-oh. What we should see is that it still moves forward. Great. Because that's what we want. And if I want to be double sure of that, then let's just whack it really far into it. Like that. Compile, save. There we go. Play. And it still moves, even though it's colliding with itself. Great. Okay. So we figured that out. Feel free to complain out loud. I moan too much during streams. Whenever I get overwhelmed or whenever technology doesn't work how I expect it to work, it gets me really grumpy. Okay, so our first bit of behavior is done at least. Let's carry on with this silly thing. So if it does hit it, then we want to check. Good, Holtzy, that's good to hear. Let it out, everyone. Everyone just shout at your computer. Let it out. And unless you've got people around you and they're going to judge or think something's wrong. The dogs are concerned, your wife, Ness. Your wife's probably used to it. Not you shouting at her. That sounded bad. Okay, so this, I mean, it's not too bad. We're not doing a call here. We're literally just checking a variable in there. So if they're both hit, then we want to just choose between oh, hang on. If one of them is not blocking. So if they're both not blocking, then choose one at random. Else, if the left whisker trace result is a blocking hit, or it's not a blocking hit, then we're going to do that. And then finally, we just have an else for the right blocking hit in here. So bool should turn left equals fmath dot rand. Why is it not giving me any autocomplete? Please, it makes coding so hard. Bool. Hang on. Oh my god, I was watching rage quit videos on YouTube. Some people should really not play video games or watch competitive sports on TV. Really? Is there people like slamming stuff and punching stuff? We can do things like I'm doing, like I shouldn't have to do this on separate lines, but I'm trying to make it more clear what we're doing. So should turn left, then we want to, this is where we do our first rotation logic, right? So this is where we would do set actor rotation. Is going to be equal to, I guess we'll do the same sort of thing here, right? We will do our current rotation, get actor rotation. Is it a rotator actually? Does it give you? It does, doesn't it? Yeah, an F rotator. Okay. What does this take in? A new rotation, which is a rotator. Okay, so I don't know how to rotate the right way to rotate it, but like I don't know what we're adding. It's going to be on the z-axis, right? That we're rotating around, we're pivoting around. So if we're... I guess this would be... yeah, I don't know how to represent this to break it into... if I'm honest with you, I don't even know what a rotator is versus a vector that represents the rotator. I'm used to these for rotations, right? So what we want to do is if we want to go left, we want to change this z value into a negative value. Now there's specific quaternions you can get as separately. There's an f quat, which is the quaternions. I don't know how they read, if I'm honest. Should we try and look it up? Is it just going to give me container for rotation information? Rotation values are stored in degrees. So why is it different to just a normal vector then? I guess is it clamped to 360? So can we can just add, I guess, right? But okay, so we want to current rotation. We want to add f rotator. We want to make a new one. Additional rotation is going to be equal to I don't know. Can we make just a? Is there a constructor that we can just make a? I don't know what whether we can just do it like this. And this is going to be our rotation speed. Can you make a rotator in that way? Oh no, my Alt G doesn't work. Is your going to be the same, is it? Yeah, it might be. There might be an additional... Oh my gosh, my autocomplete is making me sad. Add. Adds to each component of the rotator. Okay, so we can just add to that, guess. So in which case we might be able to just do it that way. Hold on. Where are we? In here. We could probably just go new rotation equals current rotation dot add, and then we can pass in these. But I think it's gonna be the... Is it gone? It's the math rotator thing I literally just had open. So your is what we're using, right? So it'd be the second parameter we want to actually set. Like that. I think. I'm guessing. I guess we should also just we can do this in a nicer way, right? We can do both of these at the end, and this can just literally be set in a multiplier for this. We could also do it as a ternary, but I don't want to bulk up that thing, so let's just do a const. That's not even going to be a constant, is it? It's just going to be like a So if we're not turning left, then we would want this multiplier to be equal to -1 instead. And then we can just go ahead and do a times multiplier here. Should work, I think. Your pitch and roll. Oh, so you can directly change the parameters on the struct itself, is it? Thank you. In this case, the add makes sense, unless I'd imagine this returns an F rotator, yeah. So let's. This first one is if. Oh, hold on. Oh yeah, we choose one of them and go that way. Otherwise, we want to just do the same thing, right? So we can actually retrieve this earlier. Oh, actually, I did it the wrong way as well. So if it should turn left, it's that. Otherwise, stays right. Yeah. My mistake there. And then we'll do the right in this way. Alright, let's start with that and see. It's probably not going to compile. There's probably some issues I've done here. How's the burger going, Master Agent? That's the important question here. Oh, did we move our front whisker back out of it? Do that. Is it still compiling or did it finish? Okay. So what we want to see now is one of them isn't hitting. It should turn one of the directions. It might break because. Okay, so what's happening in this bit here then? Let's have a look. So is the front one a blocking hit? It is. What you. Oh yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. So this one, is this a blocking hit or this one a blocking hit? No. If they're not blocking hits, that should go into it, right? Current rotation is 0. Is that correct? I guess it is going. Okay, so if they're both not blocking hit, it'll choose one. So is it going to go left? It is. So our multiplier here. Oh, rotation is. Thank you. Yeah, I see your point. Thank you, dude. I did the exact same thing with speed. No. Let's get this. Sorry. Things. This. Let's just set 10 for now and see what happens. Let's move this thing a bit closer. There you go. Okay. So it can move through. Don't worry about the Roomba moving through glass. That's a new feature. If I walk into it, I don't know. I should try and walk around me. I don't know. Oh no, it's pushing me. Alright, well we can work with a few things. So first off, we make it go a lot faster. Let's make it go 40. And let's make it rotate a lot less. We're not doing it by delta time either. We should do it by delta time. So let's do that. And then it can be a bigger number. So delta time. I guess it's... What's going to be a nice way to do this here? I mean, we can just add in times delta time. We could incorporate it into that multiplier, couldn't we? To save us having to do that. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I was considering doing that, but then I set it in here. So and then I'd have to do times -1 in here. Like plus times equals. It'd work, but this is fine for now. Let's compile that. Hey there, Danny X, nice to see you. Thanks for coming by. We are trying to make our little Roomba thing work. Oh dear. So what's happening at the moment is it's 50-50 chance of turning. Means that it's just going left and right, left and right, left and right. Whereas what it should be doing is sticking with one direction for a while. So that's some logic to consider there. If we increase the turn amount, you'll see that it's... You can see what's happening more. See how it's unsure whether to go left or right because it's rolling a 50-50 each time because of the length of these. It'll eventually, maybe, if luck goes its way, it might turn one direction so that this is no longer touching. But yeah, let's think of how we want that logic to change. Hello, Daniel the Fox as well, and hello, Flippo. Hey-oh. How are you, good sir? Ah, there we go. It managed to work its way through. Okay, so realistically, let's think of how the logic, why it's a bit wrong there. So I think we also need to potentially have different sizes for the... we have the lengths already different. Okay, that's good. They're already exposed. Let's go into our details for our dear and set these up. So I think 50 is fine for that. We're setting 10 for this. And then we'll set these to be a little larger. My problem is actually I've overridden these, so that just bring them back to defaults. So our left and right ones are longer this time, which is a positive thing as well. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you with what you're saying about that. Yeah. I'm okay as well. I'm off work for a couple of weeks, so for that reason, I'm pretty well. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go back then. So I guess we're querying the state. So we could make a Roomba state, I guess. We could also just specify the enum here as well. To be honest, instead of doing a proper state machine, we might just, because we want to be quick with this in a way, we could just use it as a bool and have a bunch of bools for them. But I guess the idea here is that I wanted it to be a case where it would also go forward while rotating, unless it got really close to it. I think I'm a bit unsure what I want from this. But essentially what we're saying is if it goes into this, then we'd say is turning gets set to true. But then we'd need to say which way it's turning as well, right? This isn't difficult. somehow managed to make it confusing. So here, move forward. If something's in front of it, then we turn in that direction. So what does turning in that direction mean, I guess, right? That's the next thing. So we want to turn in that direction until the forward. Continue to turn in the selected rotation until forward sensor is no longer blocked. That's kind of the logic that we're doing here instead, I think, right? So let's just do it really, really crudely here. Okay, so if we go ahead with those. So if we are in this position, then hold on, what's this? Oh, okay, this is if they're free. Okay, cool. So first off, we'd say is turning is equal to true here. We would say our, instead of doing it like this, just say is turning left is equal to that. So if it is turning left, we set our multiplier at that point. So I guess so first in here we'd need to say if you're not is turning. So this would be our like first time we need to start turning. Then we would do this sort of logic in here, right? We'd need to decide on action. We might be able to just wrap that into a function to make things so it doesn't get super messy. Should it return a... but the thing is, we're gonna have to pass in the bloody, that's the downside here. We're gonna need the delta time. We're gonna need a bunch of, no, wouldn't. No, the delta time we wouldn't. We would just need to know the traces, right? Yeah, so F hit results. Something like that. Okay, so we could then we're not turning. The first thing we want to do is to set is turning left. It's going to be equal to did I call it? Hello, Jeff. Decide on turn direction. This is so bad. This code, but we don't care. We're not doing a good code. We're not doing this to code it well. We're doing it to explore the issues that you come across when using traces and that. Let's go with that. And we need to pass in our left whisker trace result. That one and our right. That one. Okay, this should then do this logic in here, I think, right? Yeah, let's take some of this logic, whack it in here. So let's go ball is turning left. I'm not calling it is because that would hide the local one. Oh yeah, we're not doing that at this point, so we can get rid of these. And then effectively like we could just return on each one instead of doing it like this, but I think it's cleaner in my mind at least to do it one at a time and then return them at the end. Not cleaner like the proper code, but just so we can track what's happening a bit cleaner, because this doesn't imply like left or right. We're just using it as that for now. We can do some implied logic there, though. We can use leave the false there. That's fine. Okay, so that gives us a turn direction for us to use in here. So if we're not turning, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, now we are turning. And then we're going to check which way are we actually turning. That's great. And then based on that, we can then go... We kind of want to do this line, right? But we're just going to work out our multiplier. So our float multiplier is equal to a delta time. Well, I guess it'd be is turning left. It'd be delta time times -1. Otherwise, it's just delta time. Do it like that. That means we can get rid of this now. And this. And this. Yeah. What comes in your way? What do you mean by that, Jeff? My biggest issue was getting the traces to go where I want them. It took me an embarrassing long time to figure it out. I wouldn't say it's embarrassing, dude. No matter the fact that you stuck with it until you did figure it out is probably more effort than a lot of people put in. So we all know that Albert Einstein was a genius, but very few people know his brother Frank was a monster, Frankenstein. I would say it's good to see you. Struggling. How you doing, Bal? You okay? Okay, so if it's not turning, it's set our direction, right? Oh, we can do this outside, right? That's all we need to know. Ah, this multiply. I guess we would need to do this outside of, right? So if it's not turning, we set the direction. We can get rid of this. And current rotation, we can get it up here. I probably prefer getting the current rotation first. Okay, so that means we're not going to do this. Now we're going to have to do a check after we rotate it. Are we going to have to recast it then? Or would we just do it by here? Oh, no, because this wouldn't be blocking anymore, right? Okay, so this basically, if we're not blocking, is turning is going to get set to false as well. Okay. So does that give us that logic that we'll just keep going in the same direction? See that? Left with result is undeclared. Ah. My mistake. Copy pasta. Oops. Alright. Oh no. Oh no. I know why. I think we're just doing delta instead of... We're times it by delta time again, which we no longer need to do. Is he going to become a baddie? Hey, how you doing, Sketchy? Unlikely. There you go. Right, look. It's turning right continually. Huzzah! Exciting times. And it might go left this time. No, it's gone right again. Come on. Blast you. Okay, so what's happening is it's turning left. It starts turning left. Hang on, why is it not going from current camera location? I've got to go and simulate. That allows me to see it more in this way or easier in this way. Really always... Okay. Finally. Going that way. I wonder why is it still going forward though? You don't have a... I do have a randomizer. Hey, Spacey. Randomizer is here. And also, is it still going forward? That's what I'm... Is it going forward? If we go here, it doesn't look like it's just rotating. Is it? It looks like it's going forward to me. I don't know if that's just my eyes deceiving me. Where's the bit that makes it go forward at the moment? This here, right? It's going forward always. It shouldn't be going forward always because of this. If we get rid of that. Okay, now it's standing still. Now, do you see that? What? I just got rid of your go forward line. And you're still going forward. This is not what I want. You're using line tracing. You should use angular tracing for the forward sensor to encapsulate both left and right. Are you on about like doing a cone? Is that what you mean? At the moment, I'm not too interested in like if it's the right method. I want to try and use the tools that I've looked at. Like, so what? Like do a sweep across? You mean? So it'd be a sweep in a cone shape. What I don't understand is why is it going forward still? When I just told it not to. The line to go forward is commented out and it still goes forward. Let's try this, shall we? As soon as you turn a small amount, your forward line will no longer block. Yes. And so then it would be going forward again. I understand where you're coming from. But what? So what? You do a cone and then work out is the point of impact on the left or the right of it to work out if it's left or right of the center point. Okay, good. It's not moving. It shouldn't be. That's what I expected. Doesn't let me. Okay, so it's not turning anymore because it is no longer intersecting with that. Okay, so I'm just trying to think what exactly I want this to do now. I don't know whether it'd be worth doing traces of different this. And really, I guess at the like having the three traces where I got them isn't really enough to say am I going to collide with it or not. You'd also probably want to have some logic where it would back up as well. Well, to see how far along it hit to see which one. Yeah, that's a good point actually. Must it'd be achieving the same sort of thing, right? Yeah, so that might be. We only move forward when all three aren't, and then then we use the left and right to determine which way to turn if they are. Yeah, maybe that would be a healthier way to do it. So it wouldn't be just this. This would be if none of them are hit, right? Okay, should make a little bit of a difference. Oh, we can get rid of this comment out now as well. So wait, it'll keep turning and then it'll eventually go forward. Now, there you go. Wonderful. Yeah, that is a fair point, and this should just be used then to denote which way it should turn. So it should turn right, I'm guessing here, if because one of them is going to be blocked before the other. When it hits this, hang on, let's have a look what happens, shall we? Riveting. So one is a blocking hit, but the other isn't, right? So we should be able to, it's gonna turn, is turning is false, but it should now be true. And then we're gonna have to work out which one it is. So are they both not hitting? No. Is the left one a blocking? Yeah, no. So it will remain as false. So we're now turning right. So that means that we will turn that much. We'll change the rotation to that. Okay, good. So I guess we don't need, that's a point where I should put the breakpoint, and then we won't hit it again. Should now, oh. Is it because it turned and it wasn't touching it? We're going to continually just like go into it. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. So it's like turning just away from it a bit, right? And then at this point, aha, have we gotten stuck, dear Roomba? Hello, Top. Diolch am ddefnyddio'r gorchem Gymraeg nes I ddim ond just weld. o chi wedi defnyddio'r gorchymyn just yn nawr. Croeso, gobeithio bod ti yn iawn. Dyfwch chi di mwynhau eich dydd Sul chi. Nawr, beth sy'n digwydd yma yw... Wel, beth sydd yn digwydd? Ydyn ni yn y sefyllfa yma, fi'n meddwl. Mae'r dau nhw wedi cael ei flocio yma. Os ni'n fynd yma... Ie, mae dim byd yn digwydd. Oedden ni heb raglennu'r dan yna eto. So mae hwn yn hollol iawn. Does dim rhaid ni newid yna. So os dyn ni'n just wasgu stop a wedyn ni'n gallu fynd mewn i yma. A allan ni penderfynu pa cyfeiriad i droi wedyn. Nawr, os modd i ni... Bydd ni bron yn cael yr un fath o penderfyniad yma, reit? So allan ni just wneud rhywbeth fel hyn yn gloi. A wedyn allan ni droi y ffordd na. Na, os ni'n barod yn ceisio troi, ond dyn ni heb orffen. Ie, rhaid ni sicrhau fod ni ddim yn newid y cyfeiriad fan yma. Wedyn, bydd rhaid ni... sut allu ni wneud na? Rhaid ni cael rhyw fath o logic yma i benderfynu. Hello, Zomboids. Well, yeah, I'm from Wales, and both my parents are Welsh. Only one of them speaks Welsh, but I went to a Welsh school, so I did all my subjects through the Welsh medium. Welsh is Elvish, people seem to call it. I would default to right until unblocked, if not found during full rotation. An alert in some way. Yeah, that sounds good. So if I've done a whole loop. Okay, so what I was just saying here is we could get into the situation when we're already is turning, right? So the is turning doesn't matter, but we need to kind of just keep turning whichever way you were turning, I guess. But then... it could get to a case where you come into here first off, right? Where this is if one of them is a free direction, right? Yeah. And if not, we need to choose a direction to go. So you could have it where they all hit at the same time. No, it's very unlikely actually you'd have that. Isn't it? No, it depends, because if you've gone forward, the traces don't stop you from, they're not like physical things. No problem, Tito. So it's not massively important, but I'm just trying to decide here whether or not because we only want to do this, we'd be stuck in this state, so we kind of want to do the same thing, right, where we choose a direction. And I don't know, so if we're not turning, I guess we could do the same sort of check, right? Otherwise we can just carry on whichever way we are turning, right? And then we will want to keep rotating. And as soon as we're clear... Unless we have a different variable for this. This will probably block that little environment though, that little situation from happening, right? I mean, we'd also need this in here as well, sorry. So we'll probably wrap that into a little function quickly. Is turning left is, yeah, we should know that. Delta time would need to pass in. But logically, you would never be turning when this event happened. This one, are you saying that we'd never go into this? Yeah, you're right. It would be this. This would happen before, wouldn't it? You got a good point. Because if you're turning, you wouldn't get to a position where you're... No, maybe you would. If you're in a corner... I haven't thought this out, but if you're in a corner... let's do it this way. And we're like here. And we... how would this work? Let's say we're like there, and there. Like, so this is hitting. I know the lengths are a little bit off, so just forgive me. But let's say that this one isn't. Okay, take 2. So this one isn't hitting at the moment, so we're rotating, right? And if we rotate around this way a little bit more, it's an arrow. And then there will become a point when we were last rotating when all 3 of them are now hitting these points. So it is potential that it could happen. Yeah. You could do the trace all around the Roomba, only activate if it seems like all sensors have gotten into lock state. These traces could be used to map the surrounding area. 1.5 isn't being blocked, then you could check the edges. I was kind of with you. Sensor 0 and 6 get the distances from the sensor. Calculate the world position. How would they get their world position? Like, how would it know about the size of the room? The idea is that it should need to know about the size of its room, right? In my view. Right, where were we with this? So yeah, this should give it a direction. We should continue to turn until that, right? The slight risk you... Oh, no. It should work, I think, this. Let's just get this going. Yeah, I'm not against doing those things at one point, but I also agree with what Fire is saying at the moment. This is just like a simple version. I'm not trying to do a great version of it as of yet. Oh, hang on. So it's turning left. This is a... Why are they italicized? But other ones aren't. I don't know what my IDE thinks things are these days. Problem this time? Turning left. Oh, is it because... Is it called is turning left? Oh, sorry, people. I'm really not concentrating very well at all. I've done that so many times now. Okay. We can also work on making a bit of a better environment for it. Let's bring it over here, shall we? Give it some walls. Okay. There's one. Oops. Slightly off. Doesn't really matter. There we go. Okay, so we've got some random obstacles now for our little Roomba arena. Slow. Okay, I can't. It's too slow. We gotta build. We gotta work with this. Okay, so you're now gonna go 100 and you're gonna turn it 40. Stand the low speeds. Okay, so last time it kind of got stuck in this corner, right? So the problem with this is it is just gonna kind of circle the room now, right? But it should be able to at least go around. Aha. So are we stuck here? Why are we stuck here? Why are you not hitting a breakpoint here? Indeed, Robot Wars was a classic. I hate debugging with Visual Studio, Unreal. I never trust, has it actually compiled? Why is the source code different to what it thinks it is, even though I hot reloaded it? So, like, one thing that could be happening is it turns and then all of a sudden one of them isn't blocked. No, but if that's the case, if one of them isn't blocked, it should turn the direction of the one that's not blocked. It should keep turning that way. Yeah, that sounds a good one. Yeah, let's actually change the speeds in that of this again. So we'll make it go 200 and it will make it change turn at 50. Oh, sorry. Continue. I've got some good music on. Listen, that goes with it well. So the thing that I would have liked it to do is to go right there, but it tried going left. Like times like that. I guess you could do a left or a right check, right? We could add some more sensors, and at that time we could ask, okay, is it more sensible to go left or right? But this, you imagine this is the tune the Roomba constantly works to. At this. Oh, so yeah, that it would have been a good one. We could have done like a far left and like a one-off flash left and right. You know, so we're not doing them on tick. And that would help in these turns to turn in the direction. So we'll try that. Like this can be, as we said earlier, Roomba like 0.1, you know, rather than version 1. But so let's go and add in a couple more traces, shall we? So we will do 2 more of these. So this is, they're not whiskers. This is going to be like left, what should we call it? Hang on, you need to add some random rotation instead of always forward. Oh, so it explores around, you mean? Yeah, we could do that so that it vacuums, so it covers more area. That's another thing to put in. Thank you, Fire. We'll look at trying to get a bit of variance in that in a moment. Let's start with these left. Yeah. Thank you, Fire. It's a fair point. Left. It's basically like your side. I don't know what to call it. It's like a 90-degree right angle, I guess. Maybe I'll just call it a strafe check. Because I kind of know what it means. And we'll whack in. This, I guess we only need one of these actually. So this could just be a strafe trace length. Okay, so we'll position these, and the logic then we're going to do is if we're in this situation where they're both blocked, then we want to work out which side to turn. So first off, like, if they're both blocked, then we can do the random, but this will be our fallback. We can still do this, as I said, as a fallback, but really what we should be doing then is we want to do a trace at this point in the same way that we've done these. So we can, yeah, we'll just copy one of these, I guess. We should have access to the query params and all that as well. Right, so let's do this. And then we'll need to also borrow the... We will draw debugger color to indicate these, which will be a little bit different as well. Okay, so we're going to have to do 2 of these. So this is going to be a right strafe trace location. Right strafe end is going to be that plus that plus strafe check location, isn't it? Length. But I swear I just made one called strafe trace length. Why is it not coming up when I write that in? Now that you're no longer tracing itself, then you can set the starting point of each trace to the center point of the cylinder, but X amount longer than the radius. Yeah, you could do that rather than manually setting the positions. Yeah, I see your point. I think that's a fair argument too. Whether or not I'll do it right now is a different point, but I don't disagree with you. Alright, so we've got all of these again. And we're gonna just... Okay. We'll change all of those to the left, right? And then we need to do the traces. Oh yeah, we should. Oh, it's not front trace start, is it? It's right trace start, right trace end. Yeah, like that. We make this for a duration here. Persistent, false. And then lifetime, we want it to just last for, let's just say 0.5 seconds. So we just see when it does it. Okay. And then we got to do the same for the left as well. Okay. So now we check if one of them is empty, basically, and we're going to return that way. So I guess it would be if one of them, yeah, they can't both be a non. We basically want an XOR, is it? One but not the other. Because if they both are empty, it should be a random direction you go. Or if they're both not empty, it should be a random direction, right? It's only if it's one or the other. I think, right? Yeah, so what's the XOR? Is XOR what I'm looking for? I think it is. Exclusive or... When the inputs differ. Yeah, okay, cool. Oh no, that's not what I was actually... Be a CPP one, I'd imagine, right? That's not equals. Oh, I get it. We can just check if they're not equals. That. Well, double caret. Oh, that is it? Like that. It says it is not. And like you can do not equals. That does make sense, but. But logically, this makes sense as well, right? This is just make sure. But I'd like to know which one. Because we're going to have to end up doing the... a bloody... Well, if that is the case, then we're going to have to work out which one it is, right? Which seems silly. It's a bit wasteful, but I think we'll just go with it, right? we want to turn, right? I think that should work, as far as I'm aware. Give it a go, shall we? Roomba Wars is slowly but surely coming to life. Oh, I realised my music is still on, and I'm not meant to play music on stream. I apologise. Oh, I really hope they don't mute a VOD now. Point of me doing these streams without music is so I have my VODs. Oh, I forgot. My mistake. Yeah, no, I don't, especially on the Sunday streams where I make highlights of these, so then they're available persistently, but the audio will get muted if you play music. It's only quiet music, but still, doesn't really matter the volume. Okay, so where was the situation where we got stuck before? I guess it'd be this situation here. We want to see. Why? Oh, I haven't set the length and all that jazz, have I? No, the music is super quiet. It was. I've just turned it off now, but I'll put it on now. So now it's on. It'll be super quiet, but if you listen carefully. Turned it off again now. Yes, you're completely right, Fyro. It's as if I never learned from my own mistakes, is it? So this can be quite a long trace. To be honest, 50 should be sufficient. And then we need to set the positions of it, right? Ooh. Oh, we haven't made them. Silly Dan. Silly Dan. Sorry, dear Roomba. Not set you up nicely, have I? Yeah, I don't. It's still not doing it, and I gotta think why it isn't. I guess it's because not all of them are. Yeah, I'm not too sure how it's choosing that logic. I don't think it's coming into here, right? Yes, I did set the length. Oh no, hang on. Wait. No, it is coming in here. Make sure only one of them has hit. Oh, so it has done these traces. Can't see them though. That isn't hit and that isn't hit. I think there's something wrong going on with the traces actually. Oh, I haven't positioned them. Sure. Hold on. Stop. Okay. first I hand created them, and then I forgot to move them. I think that's right now. Yeah, I mean, I'd still need to set up the manual facing directions of them, right, Fyro? In the code, or like -90 or whatever angles I wanted. But I still don't think it's actually doing it. How it still turns left there, but I don't think it. Okay, let's look. I think all are blocked, right? If it's not already turning. Ah, is it because it's only doing that if it's turning? Could be that. It used to just do this. Oh, now it has hit a breakpoint there, is it? No. It'll hit this on every. Right, so we should have the two results. But length is 50 as well. This is -90. This should be +90. Yeah. I made a mistake in here. Well, I'm expecting, like, I'm not sure why I'm not seeing these. I should be seeing these debugs. Maybe that needs to be persistent, needs to be true. Maybe it's flashing and I'm not seeing it. I think that's what. Persistent lines and then a lifetime, yeah. I thought. I don't know if that means it'll always show or whether it just shows for duration. Oh, I might. Hold on. Why are you multiplying vector rotation versus forward vector of strafe lines? What line do you mean, Fyro? Oh, this bit. This is to get the trace, the end location, right? The start point, and you get whichever way it's facing, and then you times it by the length. Yeah, that's how I was doing the previous ones. So it would be forward vector times length times length. Why times length again? Yes. Forward vector. Well, the forward vector is effectively this rotation, right? That's telling you the rotation of the component, which has been rotated. This is working for the diagonal ones, dude. Oh, it's normalized, like, you mean? Right. Whereas this isn't. So this would be... Yeah, so it's 90, right? So we would end up doing... Oh, the vector here. Yeah, when we get it as a vector, I don't know whether it converts it. It's hard to know. Really, isn't it? It just gets the vector value of it. It returns it as a vector instead of a rotator there, I guess. So would we need to normalize that? I'm wondering why it works already though. For the other ones. I get what you're saying, that like we've got our 1100, right? And that this should be our way that we get our directions sorted. So if we want to go up there, we basically want to go like 0.5, 0.5. Sorry, this illustration of this size isn't helping anything. But what I've got is like 90 instead, and I'm not too sure how it handles those. Is it because it's a rotator that we end up using? No, we don't. We're just working out the points. I'm trying to think of where that is causing a problem. I see what you're saying, that the yaw is at this point is in here. I'm not too sure what this does when you return it as a vector, whether it gets it back to an XYZ vector or not. Yeah, I don't know how it converts it. Yeah, I don't understand that. Yes, yeah, I'm familiar that I've used forward vector for that bit. I guess my point here is I use the exact same logic to do these whiskers, and I'm wondering why they show correctly if this is broke. Here, for example, right? And we'll draw those a frame to see what they look like. Sorry, dude. I know it's really frustrating for you to try and explain stuff through chat as well. Yeah, I'm confused as well at this point. Like vector math isn't one of my strong. Well, I'm not very practiced at it. Let's say that rather than it not being a strong point. It's not too bad once you get into it. And the same with like rotators versus vectors versus quaternions and stuff. Instead of debug lines, always draw red so we can see them everywhere. Oh, these ones you mean? These ones, let's just make them constant, shall we? Yeah, that'd be a good start point. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate you getting involved as much as I'm sure it's a bit of a pain. Yeah, we're not getting anything from, are we? Not like in the ground or anything stupid like that. Hold on. Don't know if I didn't. No, I didn't do that for them before. No, I didn't. That's not the issue here. No, to be honest, Fire, I'm fine for the discussion, dude. Because like it's clearly there's issues anyway, and that's how we learn, mate. So I'm fine with it. But yeah, you're right. We're clearly not getting those. Oh, hold on. It's not meant to be doing those traces all the time. I need to move those traces into places where they are doing it all the time now. Hold on. So these ones, right? Let's just for now, let's move these out. And we'll just whack these up here as well. And see if they look like they're in the right position at least. Be right back, all this compiles. All right. We're back. Mm. Yeah. Okay, so it might have highlighted the issue that we have here. Let's try and do it. Let's try and change the code to use the forward vector then. Thing is, they're components. I'm not too sure. Do we have this forward vector? Yeah, forward vector is it. Oh, I got it as a rotator, haven't I? Yeah. Thank you, dude. And then we don't need this. Thanks, Fire. Hi, Merlin. Oh, I can see them. Have I always been able to see them, but they've just been really tiny? No. Hmm. How did the other ones work then? You think I could always see? No, I would have seen them if they looked like that. Like top down is hard to see, but as it moves around, I would have noticed. Yeah, we are a little bit, Merlin. Well, that's what we're trying to work on now. Is we want it to essentially when it gets to this point, what I want it to do is to, if they're all touching, it should, if both of these are touching, it should look at these side sensors to see, okay, which are these both touching as well? And if they're not, then it'll look which one isn't touching, and we should choose that as our direction to turn to stop it doing a complete 180 and going back around. I think the problem we're having is slightly based on the size of the front sensors. If we made these a little larger, this should mean that I think what might be happening is it's hitting the front, but the left ones weren't, the side whiskers weren't quite touching. I don't know, we'll see. So far it's behaved how it should do. It's always turning the direction where there's an open side, right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Okay, so could it not fit through that gap? Here's Roomba. I think it's just because the whiskers are so long now. Yeah, it was yeah, one of the front whiskers hit that corner. So then it started turning the other way. Alright, Fyro, do you want some random variance in so it can actually hoover more than just the edges of the room? But then it really makes me wonder, like, the point of the front one. It's definitely not not the greatest, but it's good to come across some of the issues. It also makes me feel that, like, the strafe ones, I don't know how they're working. It's go searching for it. Would it go missing? Okay, so we can get rid of these now. And these can go back where they should have in here. I don't know whether... It's only if it's not already turning. There's a chance that it won't go into this due to unlogic, but I'm not going to get wrapped up in this actually because it's a pretty crude implementation already. All right, so we want to add a bit of random variance to it moving around when it's going straight. I also want to change these. So they last for 1 second. Let's see if that's what sec. Oh, really? That sounds great, Danny X. Yeah, so it did a check there because they're both checking. I mean, can we move these? Let us move. Actors midway through playing. Oh, they're not movable. Is that why? Static mesh component needs to be set to move. No? What? Okay, so it needs to be set to movable, but there's no parameter called movable. There. Thank you, my bad. Check that. That's all right. I'll come back. We're going to start adding some random variance to the forward movement as well. So I wonder, how should we make it random? Because if you just make it left or right random, then it's just going to wiggle. So should it choose a direction every so often? Like every 1 second it sets, am I going to stray a bit left or a bit right? It choose like Hoover in portions. You mean? I don't know. Do you mean as in for it to go around and do a section of the room? Yeah, I mean, in a sense, you could create some form of map of the room. You'd have to keep some form of memory of where it's been, right? Or you'd be designing a custom algorithm for a specific room shape. I think I know what you mean. It should choose an angle and don't move forward until direction angle has been achieved. But I'm not too sure I understand that. I thought you meant that when it was moving, it would kind of it wouldn't be going in straight lines, that it could randomly go around a little bit. But maybe that's not what you meant then. Pyro. Well, we looked at a little bit of a video of a Roomba earlier, and some of them seem a bit random. Like Or maybe this one is a bad example. Maybe it does. But the wiggle would happen if the angle is not achieved per frame, which we know would be problematic. But if you're telling it to stop moving every time it stops and rotates and then goes straight, it's only ever going to go in straight lines. So I thought, my mistake, I thought you meant that it'd be like, no, I guess these do go just in straight lines, I guess. I was thinking of one more moving around just like freely, if you will. I guess it could be an option, right? So we'd kind of want to get choose a random direction for it here. We can try different ways, as you said. Like you might have one where it stops and chooses a direction, but like how often should it be stopping and choosing a direction then? I can't imagine exactly how you want it to work. Oh, didn't I rotate based on? Oh, did I not replace the? Did I make this function and then not actually use it? I'm doing Control F while selecting it. Why is it not putting that in the Control F? What is wrong with my editor? You're flipping crazy. Can we do it elsewhere? I feel like we did it elsewhere, which is why I put it into that function. It doesn't seem we did. Oh no, up here. Good. So I guess in this case we would need to do oh, I don't know if this is worth it. Sorry, it just feels a bit a waste of effort, time at the moment. I don't know if this is just going to be stupid. I'm trying to basically, we're going to have to do this in the same way, have some form of Boolean that manages are we doing it. So it's like turning, but it's going to be a slightly different I can't think of a name for it. Veering. Let's use that word. So this will be a float, and this will be a float as well. Mistake earlier. Not so fine. Okay. Oh, we don't even moment, do we? What was it called? Strength. Same sort of thing should work there. And then we do an if current variant duration is greater than target duration. Hey, Elsie. It's all right, man. I'm starting to feel, considering I need to wrap up soon, that it's a bit wasting a bit of time. It's not really. It's very primitive, and I'm just making it do silly things, which isn't really expanding my learning on the traces. So I'm not feeling too gravy about it, but I'm just gonna finish the bit I'm doing at least. Thank you for the love. All appreciated. I've tried adding a thing, so not, which will allow us to make it veer a bit. Veer being like it'll just not go in straight lines. Oh, I know. It's because we feed this straight line bit here. This just delta time because we're no longer in that function. Let's see how it works. Oh, Roomba, my friend, you should have some. You are going to use your non-linear divergence. Divergence is a good thing, so long as you understand the complexity of why it is necessary. You allow yourself to consider different instances and behaviors that allow you to expand and recalculate trace event. Don't really understand your Darkfire. It's not a criticism of what you've said, more of a my mental state of comprehending it. The current veer turn rate is 10. We don't want to do that much, right? So we're just going to veer by 1. And we'll veer for like 2 seconds. Or anything between 1 and 3 seconds, say. 0.5. 2 seconds. Alright. See what happens, shall we? Tell if it's actually doing it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We got into a bit of a pickle. It's really cleaning that corner. Thorough cleaning. There we go. You're finally out of it. I kind of know why it's doing that as well. So I think one thing I did earlier that I didn't particularly like was that I made these. I'd rather make that one longer. I don't like. I kind of feel like they're not even needed. Like that front one isn't even needed at the moment. This is the other. I'm not too sure why it. Does it do that? At the moment, it can't go through gaps because those traces are far too long. These ones. I don't know how long they should be, to be honest. But now all three are never going to be hitting. That's my concern. So then it never does those side strafe checks. Because as soon as one of them is hitting, it starts turning. So you see the red lines never come out now. I think he's doing a bit of variance as well. Let's pump up the whether or not the rest of it is working correctly. We put this up to like 10. We always go to this corner. Just need to get through those areas now. Trying to work out whether or not it's. It looks like there's some variance going on there. So it's not as clear as I would have hoped. Yeah, you can see that it's not going in straight lines after it turns now. Once it straightens up. Well, the min-max is actually the duration of time. Oh, no. I did it wrong. My parameters. The durations was meant to be this. And this was meant to be higher. Okay, that should help us see. Yeah, there you go. You can see that it kind of bends around in arcs a little bit more, you know? But yeah, so the problem is it's never doing this size checks because all three of those are never touching at the same time. So now it looks more dumb than it is. Which is a bit of a shame. Just a little bit of logic that needs around it. No, this is Sunday. We've been doing stuff with tracing and stuff for our monthly game dev challenge. Played around and made like a little Roomba-y thing. Go around and try and hoover up all of the mess. We can do some training on it. Generate random bits of rubbish and then set up weights of whether it should turn left or right based on the inputs. Give it a little neural network. Train. Yeah, it feels like today's a little bit of a waste. I mean, for me, for my mind, it's been good. It's like a little puzzle, but how much it's been relevant to the monthly game dev challenge, I don't know. But still. Yeah, tracing. It's either raycast or tracing. The different engines and that use different terms for it. But yeah. So the way I kind of got it to work before, so it actually utilizes those side things, was through making these longer. I think. Because then it would get to a point where all three of them are hitting at the same time. But then with the variance, you don't get it so much either anymore. I mean, it looks alright what it's doing right now. Yeah, but it's times like that where it should be able to determine a little bit quicker. That it should have turned this way. I think The middle one just needs to be a bit longer. But it feels like it's so hacky to do it that way. We might just try and balance it to that because it was making better decisions when it was right. So let's try and just up the values. Yeah. So let's take you to 30. Might be a bit too far. Yeah, I think we've locked it once, didn't we? When we had it, I think 25 and 50 of these, but then it meant it didn't fit through gaps. Looking to see whether we get like red traces out on the side ever, which it should do when it's flush against the wall. Okay, so we found a problem situation there. Still not red traces, is it? I mean, well, hold on. If we get rid of our variance on it, maybe that'll turn that off. That's a factor as well, right? Sigh. How you doing, Lucky? You alright? Lucky, you're going to make something for the Honest Jam. Serious, Lucky. Indeed. Get involved. I'll be streaming for a week, raising money for charity. Oh, crikey. Our Roomba went out. The Roomba escaped somehow. Yeah, so I'll announce the theme next Friday evening. And it'll be a casual week-long one. You don't have to work for the whole week. It's a week-long just so everyone has more of an opportunity to do it. And yeah, it'd be cool if you want to make anything and take part. I'll be playing them all on stream as well the weekend after it's finished. Lovely. It can be something totally silly. Don't feel it needs to be as much effort or like work as you would put into like LD Jam or whatever. It is cleaning the neighborhood. But it's not utilizing the one thing I wanted it to. What should happen when it comes up to this wall is it should look left and right and realize I can turn right. That's what it should be doing. It does seem to, hang on, is it doing it and it's not drawing the traces? I don't know. Thank you for the follow, by the way. It doesn't have its variance mode on at the moment, so it's just going off on a line. Yeah, there'll be a theme. I'll announce it on the start of the jam. But I'm going to try and do something that's quite allows people to kind of do what they want to do as well. Because I know everyone complains about a bad theme normally, don't they? Well, maybe it is working. It's just not drawing the traces. Because it always does seem to turn. It doesn't seem to turn on itself 180 in those situations. Oh, peanut butter cookies. I could get Pally make some peanut butter cookies if I remember correctly. We get her to make some for us. Should we add on the variance? Here you go. Variance is now on. Off you go. So now it should sway around a little bit when it goes in a straight direction angle. Look at this. There you go. Getting more of the room covered, isn't it? That's the spirit. I mean, somewhat randomly. I like how this widget isn't even on it, but it's showing us the rotation is. Clean up all of the mess, Roomba. Yeah, it's all right. I mean, it's simples, but I feel I would get some vacuuming done with that dear Roomba. In control. Let's see how he handles the situation. See, there I would have liked it to turn the other way. Why is it turning that? Should do a line cast out. Right here, and it's going to go forward, right? Towards this. When it hits, I'm wondering why it's not going into the bit where it does this. Okay, at this point, it is turning already, I think, right? That's the problem. Which is what we discussed earlier in this picture, actually, is this exact scenario. But if we don't do that, it's going to choose a new direction every time. Is turning gets turned off here. Yeah, when you're going, if you're not hitting anything. The problem we're coming across is we come into things on these slight angles, and then when we turn and then everything hits at the same time, it's already turning. So it just keeps going that same direction. So realistically, we need a different variable for this, which is a shame. This is turning. So fuck, God, the name here really doesn't matter, but I get so hung up on these sort of things. How about ignore it? No, if you ignore is turning, it would do it every frame. It would recalculate a new direction every frame, wouldn't it? Oh, but I guess that left it would be the same result each time, right? It's already no, but let me show you. Let me show you. So if we got rid of this else, it'll go into it whilst all these prongs are all touching at the same time, right? But they can all be touching still on the next frame while it's rotating. And it'll have to redo these traces every time it does that, basically. That's the negative of it. Whereas my ideal way was it just does it once and it'll turn that direction then. Like we can get rid of it so you can see it'll just draw more traces, I'm pretty sure of it. But it'll be dynamic then. We can do this though. Let's give this a go. We should see that it would we are stuck in a here. You should try and do a browser game. Yeah, do something that you want to work on as well, dude. Something that you'll feel was a good use of your time. Right. Oh, look at this wiggle. Let's let you go through this, shall we? Oh yeah, I saw it. It did flick up for a second. Yeah, it's definitely a cheap knockoff Roomba that you shouldn't invest a lot of money in. Because yeah, the implementation is a bit naff. How you doing, Admiral? Nice to see you. It'd be interesting to make it like as it goes around. If we colored this floor one color, and as it goes over it, it colors. It leaves a color behind it, so we can almost see like what is painted. You know, to see the vacuum qualities of it. Let's make it stray a bit. So the stray rules are now on. The whisker size is what's causing it to kind of get into some of these issues here. And maybe these need to be a little bit longer when it does those checks, because at the moment it thinks it's clear, and then it turns that way and the whisker's touching it, so. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. I once had a meeting when I was in London to work for Roomba. Apparently they made it by accident. They used to be working on military guidance systems, and someone stuck it on a vacuum. Well, there we go. That works. If I were you, said I want to do an open world steampunk village building game. Does that count as a good idea for your jam? I mean, if you make it an MMO with kind of microtransactions, maybe, then that sounds perfect for a jam. Uh-oh. Nobody saw that. The Roomba doesn't actually have collision on it, I don't think. It's got this, but it's not set up to block everything. Uh-oh. What did I just do? Hang on now. What am I looking for? I'm looking for we have a collision here, right? Ah, this thing. That's what I'm looking for. It's got a stealth mode, right? Did it block all? Blocked hands as well. I don't know whether that would stop. Although it is like a square shaped as well, but that should hopefully stop it from walking into those things. The only weird behavior we have is where it kind of nestles its way into a corner. And the positioning of the whisker with that corner doesn't help as well. And the reason it's happening is just because of the angles of the traces. I mean, we're only using 3. And the length of them mean that the rules will... It's just doing what it's told to do, right? So basically this one hits and then it tries to turn the other way. That's why it does that wiggly thing. Because it seems to be doing the right thing, but... Yeah, it seems to be working generally alright, though. It's good enough for a little play around project after we've been looking at traces. But yeah, I will probably wrap it up